The book of Jeremiah, starting with chapter 21, the coming calamity. The word which came unto Jeremiah from Mighty God AHAYAH, when King Zedekiah sent unto him Pashur the son of Malchiah, and Zephaniah the son of Maaseiah the priest, saying, Inquire, I pray thee, of Mighty God AHAYAH for us. For Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon maketh war against us. If so be that the king AHAYAH will deal with us according to all his wondrous works, that he may go up for us from us. Then said Jeremiah unto them, Thus says you, say to Zedekiah, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, our El Elohi, the Mighty God of Israel, Behold, I will turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands, wherewith ye fight against the king of Babylon, and against the Chaldeans, which besiege you without the walls, and I will assemble them into the midst of this city. And I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand, and with a strong arm, even in anger, and in fury, and in great wrath. And I will smite the inhabitants of this city, both man and beast. They shall die of a great pestilence. And afterwards said Mighty God AHAYAH, I will deliver Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his servants, and the people, and such as are left in this city, from the pestilence, from the sword, and from the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those that seek their life. And he shall smite them with the edge of the sword, and he shall not spare them, neither have pity nor have mercy. And unto this people thou shalt say, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, Behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He that abideth in this city shall die by the sword, and by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth out and falleth to the Chaldeans that besiege you, he shall live, and his life shall be unto him for a prey. For I have set my face against this city for evil, and not for good, said Mighty God AHAYAH. It shall be given into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it with fire. And touching the house of the king of Judah, say, Hear ye the word of Mighty God AHAYAH. O house of David, thus says AHAYAH, Execute judgment in the morning, and deliver him that is spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor, lest my fury go out like fire, and burn that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doings. Behold, I am against thee, O inhabitant of the valley, and rock of the plain, said Mighty God AHAYAH, which say, Who shall come down against us, or who shall enter into our habitations? But I will punish you according to the fruit of your doings, such said Mighty God AHAYAH. And I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof, and it shall devour all things round about it. Chapter 22. Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, Go down to the house of the king of Judah, and speak there this word, and say, Hear the word of Mighty God AHAYAH, O king of Judah, that sitteth upon the throne of David, thou and thy servants and thy people that enter in by these gates. Thus says AHAYAH, our mighty God, Execute you judgment and righteousness, and deliver the spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor, and do no wrong, do no violence to the stranger, the fatherless, nor the widow, neither shed innocent blood in this place. For if you do this thing, indeed, then shall there enter in by the gates of this house kings sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, he and his servants and his people. But if you will not hear these words, I swear by myself, said AHAYAH, that this house shall become a desolation. For thus says Mighty God AHAYAH unto the king's house of Judah, Thou art Gilead unto me, and the head of Lebanon, yet surely I will make thee a wilderness, and cities which are not inhabited. And I will prepare destroyers against thee, every one with his weapons, and they shall cut down thy choice cedars, and cast them into the fire. And many nations shall pass by this city, and they shall say, every man to his neighbor, Wherefore hast thou, King AHAYAH, done thus unto this great city? Then they shall answer, Because they have forsaken the covenant of Mighty God AHAYAH, their El Elohi, and worship other gods, and serve them. Weep ye not for the dead, neither bemoan him, but weep sore for him that goeth away, for he shall return no more, nor see his native country. For thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, touching Shalom, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, which reigned instead of Josiah his father, which went forth out of this place. He shall not return thither any more, but he shall die in this place whither they have led him captive, and shall see this land no more. Woe unto him that buildeth the house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, that useth his neighbor's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. That said, I will build me a wide house and large chambers, and cut him out windows, and it is sealed with cedar, and painted with vermilion. Shalt thou reign because thou closest thyself in cedar? Did not thy father eat and drink and do judgment and justice, and then it was well with him? He judged the cause of the poor and needy, then it was well with him. Was not this to know me? Said Mighty God AHAYAH. But thine eyes and thine heart are not but for thy covetousness, and for to shed innocent blood, and for oppression, and for violence to do it. Therefore thus says Mighty God AHAYAH concerning Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, they shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, my brother, or Ah, sister. They shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, Lord, or Ah, his glory. He shall be buried with the burial of an ass, drawn and cast forth beyond the gates of Jerusalem. Go up to Lebanon and cry, and lift up thy voice in Bashan, and cry from the passages, for all thy lovers are destroyed. I spake unto thee in thy prosperity, but thou saidst, I will not hear. This had been thy manner from thy youth, that thou obeyest not my voice. The wind shall eat up all thy pastors, and thy lovers shall go into captivity. Surely then shalt thou be ashamed and confounded for all thy wickedness. O inhabitant of Lebanon, thou makest thy nest in the cedars. How gracious shalt thou be when pains come upon thee, the pain as of a woman in travail. As I live, said Mighty God AHAYAH, through Coniah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were the signet upon my right hand, yet would I pluck thee thence. And I will give thee into the hand of them that seek thy life, and into the hand of them whose face thou fearest, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans. And I will cast thee out and thy mother that bare thee into another country, where ye were not born, and there shall ye die. But to the land whereunto they desire to return, thither shall they not return. Is this man Coniah a despised, broken idol? Is he a vessel wherein is no pleasure? Wherefore are they cast out, he and his seed, and are cast into a land which they know not? O earth, 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 hear the word of Mighty God AHAYAH. Thus says AHAYAH, our mighty God, write ye this man childless, a man that shall not prosper in his days, for no man of his seed shall prosper, sitting upon the throne of David, and ruling any more in Judah. Chapter 23. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, said Mighty God AHAYAH. Therefore thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, the El Elohi of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock, and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, said AHAYAH, our mighty God. And I will gather them the remnant of my flock out of all the countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I will set up shepherds over them which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, not be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, said AHAYAH, our mighty God. Behold, the days come, said AHAYAH, that I will raise up David, a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely, and this is his name whereby he shall be called, AHAYAH, our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, said AHAYAH, that they shall no more say, AHAYAH liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but AHAYAH, our mighty God, liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Mine heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine had overcome because of Ahiah and because of the words of his holiness. For the land is full of idolaters, for because of swearing the land mourneth. The pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil, and their force is not right. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, said Ahiah. Wherefore their way shall be unto them as slippery ways. In the darkness they shall be driven on, and fall therein. For I will bring evil upon them, even the year of their visitation, said Ahiah, our mighty God. And I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied to Baal, and caused my people Israel to err. I have seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem an horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen also the hands of evildoers, that none do return from his wickedness. They all of them unto me as Sodom, and the inhabitants thereof as Gomorrah. Therefore thus says Ahiah, our mighty God of hosts, concerning the prophets, Behold, I will feed them with wormwood, and make them drink the water of gall. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is profaneness gone forth into all the land. Thus says Ahiah, our mighty God, the mighty God of hosts, Hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of Ahiah, our mighty God. They say still unto them that despise me, Ahiah had said, Ye shall have peace. And they say unto every one that walketh after their imagination of his own heart, No evil shall come upon you. For who had stood in the counsel of Ahiah, and had perceived and heard his word? Who had marked his word and heard it? Behold, a whirlwind of Ahiah is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. The anger of mighty God Ahiah shall not return until it have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it perfectly. I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. But if they had stood in my counsel, and had caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned them from their evil way, and from the evil of their doing. Am I a mighty God at hand, said Ahiah, and not a God afar off? Can any hide himself in secret places, that I shall not see him, said Ahiah? Do not I fill heaven and earth, said Ahiah? I have heard what the prophets said, that prophesied lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yea, they are prophets of the deceit of their own heart, which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal. The prophet that had a dream, let him tell a dream, and he that had my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the chaff to the wheat, said Ahiah? Is not my word like as a fire, said Ahiah, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces? Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, said Ahiah, that steal my words, every one from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, said mighty God Ahiah, that use their tongues and say, He said. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, said Ahiah, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, said mighty God Ahiah. And when this people or the prophet or a priest shall ask thee, saying, What is this burden of Ahiah? Thou shalt then say unto them, What burden? I will even forsake you, said Ahiah. And as for the prophets and the priests and the people that shall say, The burden of Ahiah, excuse my puppies, the burden of Ahiah, I will even punish that man and his house. Thus shall ye say, every one to his neighbor, and every one to his brother. What had mighty God Ahiah answered? And what had Ahiah spoken? And the burden of Ahiah shall ye mention no more, for every man's word shall be his burden. For ye have perverted the words of the living God, of Ahiah of hosts, our mighty God. Thus shalt thou say to the prophet, What had Ahiah answered thee, and what had Ahiah spoken? But since ye say, the burden of Ahiah, therefore thus says Ahiah, because ye say this word, the burden of Ahiah, and I have sent unto you, saying, Ye shall not say, the burden of Ahiah. Therefore, behold, even I will utterly forget you, and I will forsake you, and the city that I gave you and your fathers, and cast you out of my presence. And I will bring an everlasting reproach upon you, and a perpetual shame which shall not be forgotten. Chapter 24. Ahiah showed me, and behold, 2 baskets of figs were set before the temple of Ahiah. After that, Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon had carried away captive Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim king of Judah, and the princes of Judah with the carpenters and smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babylon. 1 basket had very good figs, even like the figs that are first ripe, and the other basket had very naughty figs, which could not be eaten, they were so bad. Then says Mighty God AHAYAH unto me, What seest thou, Jeremiah? And I said, Figs, the good figs, very good, and the evil, very evil, that cannot be eaten, they are so evil. Again the word of Mighty God AHAYAH came unto me, saying, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, the El Elohi of Israel. Thus says Ahiah, the mighty God of Israel, like these good figs, so will I acknowledge them that are carried away captive of Judah, whom I have sent out of this place into the land of Chaldeans for their good. For I will set mine eyes upon them for good, and I will bring them again to the land, and I will build them and not pull them down, and I will plant them and not pluck them up. And I will give them an heart to know me, that I am Mighty God AHAYAH, their El Elohi, and they shall be my people, and I will be their mighty God, for they shall return unto me with their whole heart. And as the evil figs, which cannot be eaten, they are so evil, surely thus says Ahiah, so will I give Zedekiah the king of Judah, and his princes, and the residue of Jerusalem, that remain in this land, and them that dwell in the land of Egypt. And I will deliver them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach and a proverb, a taunt and a curse in all places whither I shall drive them. And I will send the sword, the famine, and the pestilence among them till they be consumed from off the land that I gave unto them and to their fathers. Chapter 25. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, that was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. The which Jeremiah the prophet spake unto all the people of Judah and to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, From the 13th year of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah, even unto this day, that is the 23rd year, and the word of Ahiah had come unto me, and I have spoken unto you, rising early and speaking, but ye have not hearkened. And Ahiah has sent unto you all his servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, but you have not hearkened, nor inclined your ear to hear. They said, Turn ye again now every one from his evil way, and from the evil of your doings, and dwell in the land that Mighty God AHAYAH had given unto you and to your fathers forever and ever. And go not after other gods to serve them and to worship them, and provoke me not to anger with the works of your hands, and I will do you no hurt. Yet ye have not hearkened unto me, said Mighty God AHAYAH, that you might provoke me to anger with the works of your hands to your own hurt. Therefore thus says Mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, because you have not heard my words, behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, said Ahiah, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and will bring them against this land, and against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them, and make them an astonishment, and a hissing, and perpetual desolations. Moreover, I will take from them the voice of mirth, and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride, and the sound of the millstones, and the light of the candle. And this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. And it shall come to pass, when 70 years are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, said Ahiah, for their iniquity in the land of the Chaldeans, and I will make it perpetual desolations. And I will bring upon that land all my words which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book which Jeremiah had prophesied against all the nations. For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to the works of their own hands. For thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, the El Elohi of Israel, unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it. And they shall drink and be moved and be mad because of the sword that I will send among them. Then took I the cup at Ahiah's hand, and made all the nations to drink unto whom Ahiah had sent me, to wit Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, and the kings thereof, and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation, and astonishment, and hissing, and a curse. It is this day. Pharaoh king of Egypt, and his servants, and his princes, and all his people, and all the mingled people, and all the kings of the land of Uz, and all the kings of the land of the Philistines, and Ashkelon, and Azah, and Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon, and all the kings of Tyrus, and all the kings of Zidon, and the kings of the isles which are beyond the sea, Dedan and Teman, and Buz, and all that are in the uttermost corners, and all the kings of Arabia, and all the kings of the mingled people that dwell in the desert, and all the kings of Zemiri, and all the kings of Elam, and all the kings of Medes, and all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world which are upon the face of the earth, and the king of Shishak shall drink after them. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, the Mighty God of Israel, Drink ye and be drunken, and spew and fall, and rise no more, because of the sword which I will send among you. And it shall be, if they refuse to take the cup at thine hand to drink, then shalt thou say unto them, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, Ye shall certainly drink. For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name. And should ye be utterly unpunished? Ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the earth, said Mighty God AHAYAH of hosts. Therefore prophesy thou against them all these words, and say unto them, Ahiah shall roar from on high, and utter his voice from his holy habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout, as they that tread the grapes, against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise shall come even to the end of the earth, for Mighty God AHAYAH had a controversy with the nations. He will plead with all flesh. He will give them that are wicked to the sword, said Mighty God AHAYAH. Thus says Ahiah of hosts, Behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and a great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. And the slain of Mighty God AHAYAH shall be at that day from one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be dung, shit upon the ground. Howl, ye shepherds, and cry, and wallow yourselves in the ashes, ye principal of the flock. For the days of your slaughter and your dispersions are accomplished, and ye shall fall like a pleasant vessel. And the shepherds shall have no way to flee, nor the principal of the flock to escape. A voice of the cry of the shepherds and a howling of the principal of the flock shall be heard, for Mighty God AHAYAH has spoiled their pasture. And the peaceable habitations are cut down because of the fierce anger of Mighty God AHAYAH. He had forsaken his covert as the lion, for their land is desolate because of the fierceness of the oppressor and because of his fierce anger. Chapter 26. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim the son of Josiah, king of Judah, came this word from Ahiah, saying, Thus says Ahiah, Stand in the court of Ahiah's house, and speak unto all the cities of Judah which come to worship in Ahiah's house, all the words that I command thee to speak unto them, diminish not a word. If so be they will hearken and turn every man from his evil way, they may repent me of the evil which I purpose to do unto them, because of the evil of their doings. And thou shalt say unto them, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, if you will not hearken to me to walk in my law, which I have set before you, to hearken to the words of my servants the prophets, whom I send unto you, both rising up early and sending them, but ye have not hearkened, then will I make this house like Shiloh, and will make this city a curse to all the nations of the earth. So the priests and the prophets and all the people heard Jeremiah speaking these words in the house of Mighty God AHAYAH. Now it came to pass, when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking all that Mighty God AHAYAH had commanded him to speak unto all the people, that the priests and the prophets and all the people took him, saying, Thou shalt surely die. Why hast thou prophesied in the name of AHAYAH, saying, This house shall be like Shiloh, and this city shall be desolate without inhabitant? And all the people were gathered against Jeremiah in the house of AHAYAH. When the princes of Judah heard these things, then they came up from the king's house unto the house of AHAYAH, and sat down in the entry of the new gate of AHAYAH's house. Then spake the priests and the prophets unto the princes and to all the people, saying, This man is worthy to die, for he had prophesied against this city, as ye have heard with your ears. Then spake Jeremiah unto all the princes and to all the people, saying, AHAYAH sent me to prophesy against this house and against this city all the words that ye have heard. Therefore now amend your ways and your doings, and obey the voice of AHAYAH your mighty God, and AHAYAH will repent him of the evil that he had pronounced against you. As for me, behold, I am in your hand. Do with me as seemeth good and meet unto you. But know ye for certain that if you put me to death, you shall surely bring innocent blood upon yourselves, and upon this city, and upon the inhabitants thereof. For of a truth of Mighty God AHAYAH had sent me unto you to speak all these words in your ears. Then said the princes and all the people unto the priests and to the prophets, This man is not worthy to die, for he had spoken to us in the name of AHAYAH our mighty God. Then rose up certain of the elders of the land, and spake to all the assembly of the people, saying, Micah the Morasthite prophesied in the days of Hezekiah king of Judah, and spake to all the people of Judah, saying, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, Zion shall be plowed like a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the house as the high places of a forest. Did Hezekiah king of Judah and all Judah put him at all to death? Did he not fear AHAYAH, and besought AHAYAH, and AHAYAH repented him of the evil which he had pronounced against him? Thus might we procure great evil against our souls. And there was also a man that prophesied in the name of AHAYAH, Uriah the son of Shimei, in Kirjacharim, who prophesied against the city and against the land according to all the words of Jeremiah. And when Jehoiakim the king with all his mighty men and all the princes heard his words, the king sought to put him to death. But when Uriah heard it, he was afraid and fled and went into Egypt. And Jehoiakim the king sent men into Egypt, namely Elnathan the son of Achbor, a certain men with him unto Egypt. And they fetched forth Urijah out of Egypt, and brought him unto Jehoiakim the king, who slew him with the sword, and cast his dead body into the graves of the common people. Nevertheless, the hand of Jehoiakim the son of Shaphan was with Jeremiah, that they should not give him into the hand of the people to put him to death. Chapter 27. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim the son of Josiah king of Judah came this word unto Jeremiah from Mighty God AHAYAH, saying, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH to me, Make thee bonds and yokes, and put them upon thy neck, and send them to the king of Edom, and to the king of Moab, and to the king of the Ammonites, and to the king of Tyrus, and to the king of Zidon, by the hand of the messengers which come to Jerusalem, and to Zedekiah king of Judah. And command them to say unto their masters, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, the El Elohi of Israel, Thus shall ye say unto your masters, I have made the earth, the man, and the beast, that are upon the ground by my great power and by my outstretched arm, and I have given it unto whom it seemed meet unto me. And now have I given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and the beasts of the field have I given him also to serve him. And all nations shall serve him and his son and his son's son until the very time of his land come, and then many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of him. And it shall come to pass that the nation and kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, says Mighty God AHAYAH, with the sword, and with the famine, and with the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand. Therefore hearken not ye to your prophets, nor to your diviners, nor to your dreamers, nor to your enchanters, nor to your sorcerers, which speak unto you, saying, Ye shall not serve the king of Babylon. For they prophesy a lie unto you, to remove you forth from your land, and that I should drive you out, and ye shall perish. But the nations that bring their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serve him, those will I let remain still in their own land, said AHAYAH, and they shall till it and dwell therein. I spake also to Zedekiah king of Judah according to all these words, saying, Bring your necks under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serve him and his people, and live. Why will ye die, thou and thy people, by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, as AHAYAH hath spoken against the nations that will not serve the king of Babylon? Therefore hearken not unto the words of the prophets that speak unto you, saying, Ye shall not serve the king of Babylon, for they prophesy a lie unto you. For I have not sent them, said AHAYAH, yet they prophesy a lie in my name, that I might drive you out, and that you might perish, you and the prophets that prophesy unto you. Also I spake to the priests and to all this people, saying, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, hearken not to the words of your prophets that prophesy unto you, saying, Behold, the vessel of AHAYAH's house shall now shortly be bought again from Babylon. For they prophesy a lie unto you. Hearken not unto them, serve the king of Babylon, and live. Wherefore should this city be laid waste? But if they be prophets, and if the word of AHAYAH be with them, let them now make intercession to AHAYAH of hosts, that the vessels which are left in the house of AHAYAH, and in the house of the king of Judah, and at Jerusalem, go not to Babylon. For thus says AHAYAH of hosts, concerning the pillars, and concerning the sea, and concerning the bases, and concerning the residue of the vessels that remain in the city, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon took not, when he carried away captive Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim king of Judah from Jerusalem to Babylon, and all the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem. Yeah, thus says Mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, the El Elohi of Israel, concerning the vessels that remain in the house of AHAYAH, and in the house of the king of Judah and of Jerusalem. They shall be carried to Babylon, and there shall they be until the day that I visit them, said AHAYAH, Mighty God. Then will I bring them up and restore them to this place. Chapter 28. And it came to pass the same year, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah king of Judah, in the 4th year and in the 5th month, that Hananiah the son of Azur, the prophet which was of Gibeon, spake unto me in the house of AHAYAH, in the presence of the priests and all of the people, saying, Thus speaketh AHAYAH of hosts, the Mighty God of Israel, saying, I have spoken the yoke of the king of Babylon. Within 2 full years will I bring again into this place all the vessels of Mighty God AHAYAH's house, that Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon took away from this place and carried them to Babylon. I will bring again to this place Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim king of Judah, with all the captives of Judah that went into Babylon, said AHAYAH, for I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. Then the prophet Jeremiah said unto the prophet Hananiah, in the presence of the priests, and in the presence of all the people that stood in the house of AHAYAH, even the prophet Jeremiah said, Amen. AHAYAH, do so. AHAYAH, perform thy words which thou hast prophesied, to bring again the vessels of AHAYAH's house, and all that is carried away captive from Babylon into this place. Nevertheless, hear thou now this word that I speak in thine ears, and in the ears of all thy people. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries, and against great kingdoms, of war, and of evil, and of pestilence. The prophet which prophesied of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall that prophet be known, that mighty God AHAYAH had truly sent him. Then Hananiah the prophet took the yoke from off the prophet Jeremiah's neck and brake it. And Hananiah spake in the presence of all the people, saying, Thus says mighty God AHAYAH, even so will I break the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon from the neck of all the nations within the space of 2 full years. And the prophet Jeremiah went his way. Then the word of mighty God AHAYAH came unto Jeremiah the prophet, after that Hananiah the prophet had broken the yoke from off the neck of the prophet Jeremiah, saying, Go and tell Hananiah, saying, Thus says mighty God AHAYAH, Thou hast broken the yokes of the wood, but thou shalt make for them yokes of iron. But thus says AHAYAH of hosts, the mighty God of Israel, I have put a yoke of iron upon the neck of all these nations, that they may serve Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and they shall serve him, and I have given him the beast of the field also. Then said the prophet Jeremiah unto Hananiah the prophet, Hear now, Hananiah, AHAYAH had not sent thee, but thou makest this people to trust in a lie. Therefore thus says AHAYAH, Behold, I will cast thee from off the face of the earth. This year thou shalt die, because thou hast taught rebellion against AHAYAH. So Hananiah the prophet died the same year in the 7th month. Chapter 29. Now these are the words of the letter that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem unto the residue of the elders which were carried away captive, and to the priests, and to the prophets, and to all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon. After that Jeconiah the king, and the queen, and the eunuchs, the princes of Judah and Jerusalem, and the carpenters, and the smiths were departed from Jerusalem, by the hand of Elasah the son of Shaphan, and Gemariah the son of Hilkiah, whom Zedekiah king of Judah sent unto Babylon to Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, saying, Thus says mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, the mighty God of Israel, unto all that are carried away captive, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem into Babylon. Build ye houses, and dwell in them, and plant gardens, and eat the fruit of them. Take ye wives, and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there, and not diminished. And seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto mighty God AHAYAH for it, for in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. For thus says mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, the mighty God of Israel, Let not your prophets and your diviners that be in the midst of you deceive you, neither hearken to your dreams which ye cause to be dreamed. For they prophesy falsely unto you in my name. I have not sent them, says AHAYAH. For thus says mighty God AHAYAH, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word toward you in causing you to return to this place. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, said AHAYAH, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me, when ye shall search for me with all your heart. And I will be found of you, said AHAYAH, mighty God, and I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations, and from all the places whither I have driven you, said AHAYAH, El Elohi. And I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive. Because you have said, AHAYAH has raised us up prophets in Babylon. Know that thus says AHAYAH of the king that sitteth upon the throne of David, and of all the people that dwell in the city, and of your brethren that are not gone forth with you into captivity. Thus says mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, Behold, I will send upon them the sword, the famine, and the pestilence, and will make them like vile figs that cannot be eaten, they are so evil. And I will persecute them with the sword, with the famine, and with the pestilence, and will deliver them to be removed to all the kingdoms of the earth, to be accursed, and an astonishment, and a hissing, and a reproach among all the nations, whither I have driven them. Because they have not hearkened to my words, said AHAYAH, which I sent unto them by my servants the prophets, rising up early and sending them, but ye would not hear, said AHAYAH. Hear ye therefore the word of AHAYAH, all ye of the captivity, whom I have sent from Jerusalem to Babylon. Thus says mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, the mighty God of Israel, of Ahab, the son of Koaliah, and of Zedekiah the son of Mahaziah, which prophesy a lie unto you in my name. Behold, I will deliver them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and he shall slay them before your eyes. And of them shall be taken up a curse by all the captivity of Judah which are in Babylon, saying, Ahiah, make thee like Zedekiah, and like Ahab, whom the king of Babylon roasted in the fire. Because they have committed villainy in Israel, and have committed adultery with their neighbors' wives, and have spoken lying words in my name, which I have not commanded them. Even I know and am a witness, said Mighty God AHAYAH. Thus shalt thou also speak to Shemaiah the Nehelamanite, saying, Thus speaketh AHAYAH of hosts, the mighty God of Israel, saying, Because thou hast sent letters in thy name unto all the people that are in Jerusalem, and to Zephaniah the son of Maaseiah the priest, and to all the priests, saying, AHAYAH had made thee priest in the stead of Jehoiada, and the priests, that ye should be officers in the house of AHAYAH. For every man that is mad, and maketh himself a prophet, that thou shouldest put him in prison and in the stocks. Now therefore, why hast thou not reproved Jeremiah of Anathoth, which maketh himself a prophet to you? For therefore he sent unto us in Babylon, saying, This captivity is long. Build ye houses, and dwell in them, and plant gardens, and eat the fruit of them. And Zephaniah the priest read this letter in the ears of Jeremiah the prophet. Then came the word of Mighty God AHAYAH unto Jeremiah, saying, Send to all them of the captivity, saying, Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH concerning Shemaiah the Nehelamite, because that Shemaiah had prophesied unto you, and I sent him not, and he caused you to trust in a lie. Therefore thus says AHAYAH, Behold, I will punish Shemaiah the Nehelamite and his seed, and he shall not have a man to dwell among this people, neither shall he behold the good that I will do for my people, said AHAYAH, because he had taught rebellion against Mighty God AHAYAH. Chapter 30. The word that came to Jeremiah from Mighty God AHAYAH, saying, Thus speaketh AHAYAH, Mighty God of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, said Mighty God AHAYAH, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, said AHAYAH, and I will cause them to return to the land that I have gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that Mighty God AHAYAH spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus says AHAYAH, Mighty God, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man do travail with child. Whether do I see every man with his hand on his loins, and as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness? Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, said Mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But they shall serve the king AHAYAH, their mighty God, and David, their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, said AHAYAH, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, says Mighty God AHAYAH, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. For thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicine. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not, for I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sin were increased. I have done these things unto thee. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, says Mighty God AHAYAH, because they call thee outcast, saying, This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH, Behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be builded upon her own heaps, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me. And I will punish all that oppress them. And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governors shall proceed from the midst of them. And I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engage his heart to approach unto me? Said Mighty God AHAYAH. And ye shall be my people, and I will be your mighty God. Behold, the whirlwind of AHAYAH goeth forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Mighty God AHAYAH shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it. And that's the end of chapter 30.